August 18th, 1590, John White rows toward Roanoke Island through choppy waters off the North Carolina coast. It's his granddaughter, Virginia Dare's 3rd birthday. 3 years ago, White left her here. An infant just 9 days old, the first English child born in the New World. He left behind 115 colonists, including his daughter Eleanor and son-in-law Ananias Dare. White sailed to England for supplies, expecting to return within months. Instead, war with Spain stranded him for 3 years. Now finally back, he scans the shoreline desperately. No welcoming party, no smoke from cooking fires, just silence. As his boat reaches shore, White sees wildfire damage. Fresh footprints, then carved into a tree on the bluff, 3 letters, C-R-O. His heart races. They agreed on a signal. If forced to leave under distress, carve a Maltese cross. No cross, that means they're safe, somewhere. White pushes inland toward the settlement. Houses that once stood near the shore are gone. In their place, a wooden palisade forms a defensive fort. Inside, more absence. No bodies, no graves, no signs of struggle. Personal belongings abandoned, chests buried but unopened. Then White sees it, carved in capital letters into a post of the palisade. Croatoan. Just one word. No cross, no explanation. Croatoan is an island 50 miles south, home to the Croatoan tribe led by Manteo, a native who'd traveled to England and allied with the colonists. White interprets the message clearly. His family moved to Croatoan. They're alive. They're waiting. He just needs to reach them. But the universe has other plans. That night, a hurricane strikes. White's ship loses an anchor. The captain refuses to risk another storm. They sail for England. White never returns. 115 people vanish into history, leaving behind only one carved word. The Roanoke colony wasn't England's first attempt at American settlement. In 1585, Sir Walter Raleigh, explorer, soldier, and favorite of Queen Elizabeth I, sent 107 colonists to Roanoke Island. That first colony failed spectacularly. Supplies ran low. Relations with local tribes soured after colonists killed Chief Wingina. When Sir Francis Drake arrived unexpectedly in 1586, the starving settlers abandoned the island and sailed home. But Raleigh wouldn't quit. In 1587, he sent John White to establish a permanent settlement. Not just soldiers and adventurers this time, but families, women and children, people committed to building lives, not just extracting resources. They landed in July. By August, Eleanor Dare gave birth to Virginia, christened after Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen. The colony seemed promising. Then reality struck. Supplies dwindled faster than expected. The colonists urged White to return to England for provisions. He resisted. Leaving his newborn granddaughter felt unconscionable. But they insisted. He was governor, an experienced sailor, personally connected to Raleigh. Only White could secure what they needed. So he agreed. Before departing, they established the signal system. If relocating voluntarily, carve the destination's name. If leaving under attack or duress, add a Maltese cross. White sailed in late August 1587, expecting to return by spring with supplies and reinforcements. Instead, he walked into England's existential crisis. King Philip II of Spain was assembling the largest invasion fleet ever seen, the Spanish Armada. Every English ship was commandeered for defense. Nobody cared about colonists on a remote island across the Atlantic. White tried everything. He begged Raleigh for a ship. He secured 2 small vessels in 1588, but their crews mutinied. choosing to raid French ships for profit rather than deliver supplies to starving colonists. White was beaten and robbed during the chaos, nearly dying from his injuries. By the time the Armada was defeated and ships became available, another year passed. Finally, in March 1590, White joined a privateering expedition. The deal was simple. The ships would raid Spanish colonies in the Caribbean all summer, then drop White at Roanoke in August. It took 17 months of planning, political maneuvering, and desperate negotiations to arrange passage back to his family. When he finally arrived on Virginia Dare's 3rd birthday, they were gone. What happened to the lost colony? Theories have proliferated for over 4 centuries. Did they die from disease, starvation, hurricane? Were they massacred by hostile tribes angry about past English violence? The Powhatan chief told Jamestown settlers decades later that he'd wiped out the Roanoke colonists, displaying English-made iron implements as proof. But his account was vague and possibly fabricated to intimidate the new arrivals. More optimistic theories suggest assimilation. Perhaps the colonists joined Manteo's Croatoan tribe peacefully. John Lawson, exploring the area in 1701, encountered Hatteras people, descendants of the Croatoan, who claimed European ancestry. Some had gray eyes. They spoke of white-skinned ancestors. Could these be the lost colonists' descendants, integrated into native society after abandoning hope of English rescue? Archaeological evidence discovered in recent decades supports the assimilation theory. In 2012, researchers using advanced imaging on John White's original 1585 map discovered a hidden symbol, a tiny 4-pointed star concealed under a paper patch correction. It marked a site 50 miles inland near Albemarle Sound. Archaeologists excavating there, designated Site X, found English artifacts dating to the late 16th century, buried in layers suggesting European and native cohabitation. Meanwhile, excavations at Cape Creek on Hatteras Island uncovered a 10-carat gold signet ring, iron bars, and copper ingots in contexts suggesting colonist presence around 1590. These weren't trade goods. They were personal possessions. Combined with the Croatoan message, the evidence suggests the colonists split into groups. Some traveled inland to Site X. Others joined Manteo's people on Croatoan Island. They weren't massacred. They adapted, survived, intermarried, became something new, neither fully English nor fully native. But what about the 90 colonists unaccounted for? If some joined the Croatoan and others established Site X, where did the rest go? The most compelling theory points to Chesapeake Bay, the colony's original intended destination. Before leaving, the colonists discussed relocating 50 miles into the mainland, exactly where Chesapeake Bay lies. Captain John Smith, founding Jamestown in 1607, reported that local Chesapeake tribes mentioned seeing people who looked like the English before his arrival. They described houses built European style and possessions matching English goods. Smith tried investigating but arrived too late. Chief Powhatan, consolidating power, had recently attacked the Chesapeake tribe. If Roanoke colonists had integrated there, they died in that conflict just years before rescue could arrive. Tragic timing. So close to being found. Instead, scattered, lost, forgotten. The word Croatoan has become America's oldest unsolved mystery. For over 400 years, it's haunted historians, archaeologists, and storytellers. The lost colony inspired novels, plays, conspiracy theories. Some claim the colonists encountered supernatural forces. Others suggest time travel or alien abduction. The 1937 outdoor drama, The Lost Colony, performed annually at Fort Raleigh National Historic Site, blends fact and imagination, keeping the mystery alive for modern audiences. But the real story is probably simpler and sadder. 115 people tried building new lives in an unforgiving land. When supply ships didn't arrive, they made hard choices, split up, sought help from native allies, integrated into existing communities to survive. They didn't vanish overnight in some inexplicable catastrophe. They adapted gradually, piece by piece, generation by generation, until nothing recognizably English remained, except genes, gray eyes, and fading stories of white-skinned ancestors. John White died around 1593, never knowing his family's fate. Virginia Dare, if she survived, would have grown up speaking Croatoan or Chesapeake language, wearing native clothing, eating native food, worshipping native gods. She'd remember nothing of England, nothing of her grandfather, nothing of being the first English child born in America. The colonists we call lost weren't lost to themselves. They knew exactly where they were, integrated into communities that welcomed them when England abandoned them. We're the ones who lost them, searching for English settlers who no longer existed. The real tragedy isn't that they vanished. It's that when John White finally returned, he was 3 years too late. The people he loved had transformed into someone new, carved a word into a tree, and moved on without him. That single word, Croatoan, isn't a mystery. It's a forwarding address he never reached.